It's beneficial to check in with a young person about their mental health, as it can ensure that stress is addressed early before it spirals out of control.
But as an employer, you also have responsibilities to specifically around work and safety to make sure your employees are safe, and that includes their mental health as part of that. So there is a responsibility there to ensure that you can ask questions.
As a peer worker, conversations about our well-being was an everyday conversation, and it became very ingrained in us to look after ourselves and know that our health is the priority. And we were always told that if we needed to take a day off, we needed to say no to a shift, that was the most important thing, and it was okay to do so.
It can be tricky talking about mental health, so sometimes it can be useful to have a bit of a script to start yourself off. So you might say, oh, I've noticed that this is happening, or I've noticed that maybe you're not travelling so well, or you've been late a lot this week, is everything okay? Or those sorts of things. Coming into the conversation in a supportive and helpful way is a useful one, rather than a telling people off kind of way. So that's a good way to start.
Some of the questions that I've planned before I have reached out to talk to a younger worker in regards to their mental health and well-being would be questions around, have there been changes in your life in terms of, your living arrangements, or relationship with your parents, or with your peers, or with your friends. Other questions would be around, is there things that we can offer in terms of help to assist you get some further help from professionals in terms of, GPs, psychologists, organisations like Headspace, that sort of thing.
If an employer wants to check that a young person's okay, first up they could choose a time that's appropriate, when there's some privacy, or perhaps when there's not many colleagues around. And it could be as simple as starting with, hey, I've noticed that, or I just wanted to check in if everything's okay.
It can be a scary conversation to have when you check in on your workers' mental health and well-being. We start thinking as employers, oh, what's this going to do to the business? What is this going to cause? But in actual fact, checking in and making a proactive plan to help your young worker benefits the company and the business as a whole.
Well, first of all, the young person has told you something, and so that's great. So that means they trust you. Responding in an appropriate way, in a calm and supportive way, is really important, and they'll get back to you when they're ready to disclose some more. And it may be that the environment they're in at that time, they can't talk more, there may be other people around, or they may not feel comfortable in talking at that time. That's okay. There's also an opportunity to normalise help seeking for young people by talking about the supports in their life. So that's an important thing as well.
Well, it demonstrates to the young person that there is a person that cares for their well-being, and they see them past as a staff member, but rather as a person. And it also provides a platform for the young person to talk to someone about their mental health. They may feel that they have no one else to turn to, and if the employer is willing to provide that space for them, it can only be beneficial for both the employer as well as the young person.